This is the MeLE Quieter 4C. It's a tiny PC and it's got an N150 quad-core processor, 16 gig RAM and 512 gig SSD. It is available from Amazon for about £290. Check out a link in the description. This has been sent to me, but it is not sponsored. I said I would be happy to have a look at it as long as I can create an independent, unbiased review with no visibility or approval needed. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a look at this and see what it is like and how it performs. So we'll start with unboxing. And I'll show you the specifications, which you can read here. You can pause them if you want to. And let's get on with the unboxing. So what do we have? We've got a little, maybe a registration card. We've got a mini PC quick start guide. We've got some heat information. It's passively cooled, so there will be some heat generated by this. And wow, this is the actual, oh my goodness, look at the size of that. That is insane. Wow. What the actual, I cannot believe how small this is. This is literally tiny. This is way smaller than I thought it would be. This is unbelievable. It's got some screws on the bottom, so we could have a look inside. Kensington lock there, network, USB and power there, HDMI, USB, which can be display, micro SD, headphone socket, more USB on that side, power button. That, I just honestly, I cannot believe how small this is. It fits in the palm of your hand. I was not expecting it to be this small. What else do we have in the box? So it comes with a VESA mounting plate, so you can attach it to the back of the monitor. It comes with a UK adapter. We've got the screws for the mounting, and then a tiny little power adapter. So this is USB-C, and let's have a look if we can see how many watts this is. 24 watts. So again, that is quite low. I guess it'd be useful if this was, say, a 45 watt, then it'd be, you know, useful for other devices. But once I work out how to actually put this together, we can plug it in and set it all up. So what does this say? Warning, please do not power any other devices with it. So I guess they just want this to be for this device, but I guess if you had a generic 45 watt power supply, that'd be useful. It's nice to have devices that can be used for multiple things. Why don't we have a quick look inside before actually powering it up? So I'll just undo these screws. It's got like little rubber strips along there to stop it sliding around, which I can imagine could be an issue because when you're plugging in cables and it's such a small device, it doesn't have much weight to it, so you want it to have the grip so you can, so it doesn't slip around. I can't get over how small this is. This is incredibly small. Let me just carry on with taking it apart and we'll kind of look at some other things, see the size difference between this and some other devices. I mean, this is the size of an SSD, and you know, the size is not much bigger. That's quite something. Let's see how we get into this. Okay, so that lifts up. That is the heat spreader, some kind of heat spreader. So this is the bottom, and it connects to the back of the motherboard, which you can see here. We've got a CMOS battery. We've got all of the different connections, and it looks like the interesting things are on the other side of this board. We've got a thermal pad on top of the air disk drive here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more screws to take out to get to the other side. So we'll do that. Okay, so I'll undo this so we can have a quick look at this device here. It says it's a PCIe 3.0x4 M22280. And we'll just have a quick look at the other side. Nothing very exciting there. This looks like it might be the Wi-Fi chip with the connections, and we've undone the 4 screws, so I'm guessing we should be able to pull this board out, have a look at the other side. Okay, I've managed to lift this out, and we've got the Wi-Fi cable sort of, they have a couple of antenna points here and here, and then we've got basically the processor here, which has built-in graphics, and then we've got some soldered on memory chips here. It's quite something how little, I don't know how small this is, how few components there are, you know, Realtek something here, and then got another chip up here. But you know, beyond the processor, memory, and a few extra parts, there's not much to it. You know, there's Wi-Fi and power, circuitry, various other bits. This might be a BIOS chip, but it's quite incredible how small they can make computers these days. This is an Intel N150, and we'll look at what that gives us when we power it up. But yeah, it's got some thick, sticky thermal paste, and not much else to report. So let's put this back together. Okay, I've put all the screws back in, and it's worth noting that, you know, this is going to be too small to upgrade. You can't add an extra SSD. There's physically not enough room for it, and there's no ports for extra SATA devices. So if you did want to add anything, it would need to be external, connected over USB, etc. And similarly with the memory, you're not going to be able to upgrade this memory. So when you're buying this or speccing this up, you'll need to make sure you get what you need at that point. So we've got all the screws back in. This is the MeLE Quieter 4C F5V sharp and slim fanless mini PC. There's a QR code here. Input 12 volts, 2 amps. And this is a plastic shell, so you will need to be careful with this, not to damage it. And then we've got the warning here again about using the correct adapter that is provided in the box. F7 to enter boot options, delete to enter BIOS setup. So let's connect it up and see what it does. Okay, so we've got the device. We're gonna plug in HDMI. I don't know whether it matters which one we go for. I've got a little Logitech wireless keyboard mouse that I can connect to it. And then we can connect the power. This is connected to a power meter, and hopefully you'll be able to see that without this cable getting in the way too much. And then let's plug the power in here, and we've got a little red light here. So press the power button. Hopefully this monitor is plugged in as well. Yep, HDMI input, and it's using about 11 watts at the moment, and it looks like it's coming with Windows 11 built in. So we're going to have to go through the Windows 11 out-of-box experience. So I'll just go through that and come back when we're at the desktop. We're in Windows, and let's have a look at Task Manager. We've got a CPU that is in the Intel N150, and this is a quad-core processor. So that means it's decent enough. It's not, 2 cores, 4 threads. It's 4 cores, 4 threads. And we've got 16 gigabytes of 4800 RAM. We've got this Air Disk 512 gig SSD, and we've got Intel graphics. So why don't we bring up Device Manager, have a quick look at that. Display adapter doesn't say much else. Firmware, Bluetooth. So we could have connected Bluetooth keyboard and mouse if we had those. I don't, so I'm just using this little USB dongle. Temperature seems fine, and I'll install some software so we can have a look around the system. So this has got Windows 11 Pro. It's let me set up a local account. Okay, I've installed a bunch of software. We've got CPU-Z here. This is a 6-watt CPU. So that's pretty cool. And we've got the temperatures here. So let's just run a bench, and we'll see what happens when we do, how much power it uses. So it's using about 15 watts total over here. And we're getting a score of 1100 in CPU-Z. So if we have a look and compare that, maybe that's going to be somewhere down here. So it's not as powerful as an i5 7600, but it is using a lot less power, no doubt. I've also got this message over here saying memory integrity can't be turned on. So maybe I'll see if I can update some drivers and get that to go away at some point. But let's also check the performance of the main drive in this system. So I'm using Crystal Disk Mark. I'm going to run all of these and come back with the result. So while this finishes up, I'll tell you a little bit more about the system. It's got an N150 quad-core processor that can turbo up to 3.6 gigahertz. And the memory in this system is LPDDR5X RAM. So that should be nice and quick. I mean, it looks like we're getting some really respectable read and write speeds. you know, obviously it's significantly faster than an SSD drive, but it's also nice to see that they've put a pretty quick M.2 drive in there. So these are the performance results from Crystal Disk Mark. Quite impressive. Let's switch over to Passmark and run the whole suite of tests and see how that is. It's getting quite warm. Ow. Yeah, particularly at the back here. Well, around this area, it's getting pretty warm. So we'll run all of these and see how it goes. I think we should get notification in here if we have any sort of throttling or thermal problems while running this. So that's completed. Passmark rating of 1381. CPU mark is 3035. That's around an i5 6th gen i5 6200U laptop processor, but with this system you're getting DDR5 memory and faster disk performance than you would from, say, a 6th gen i5 system with DDR3. 2D and 3D graphics performance is there. Memory mark, let's have a closer look at the memory mark, and we can have a look at this sort of throughput. So 1900 multi-threaded memory threaded. That's probably, I think these translate as 19 gigabytes per second, as far as I'm aware. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. We've got 3D mark, 2D mark, we've got the disk mark, and these are the write and read speeds. So those are, as we saw in disk mark, pretty good. And then the CPU mark, I might rerun this just to double check. And we actually got a maximum temperature over here of 97 degrees C. So that's pretty hot, actually. The thermal limit is 105, so getting pretty close, I think, to thermal throttling. So I'll just rerun CPU mark. Okay, that's odd. It got a significantly better score. I've seen this before where you run through the test and go through it all and the CPU score is much lower. So I'm just going to run this again, see what we get, because this puts it in a different league altogether. Okay, I'm going to run this again, but it's worth noting that the temperature of the nVME drive is pretty hot as well. Something to be aware of, because I think if you put this behind a monitor that was also generating heat without any kind of airflow, then it could end up getting quite hot. I'm able to switch on memory integrity, but I need a restart. And now to run this CPU mark once more, now that I've closed everything else down. Okay, this is similar to the performance that we see on the Passmark website, and this is near to an i5 8th gen 8250U Intel CPU. So yeah, the 8th gen sort of Intel chips seem to be a big jump in performance over the 6th and 7th gen. So yeah, ignore the earlier score that I got with this, as it seems like this is the kind of score we should be getting. Here we have WebGL Aquarium, and we're getting 60 frames a second. Even as we go up to sort of 10,000 fish, we're still getting nearly 60 frames per second. Starts to slow down at 15,000 and 20,000. But at 1,000, it's a solid 60 frames per second. Here we've got hardware info. It does say that thermal throttling has occurred, so that is a bit of a shame. The memory is running in dual channel mode, which is nice to see. And we're running a stress. I think I'm running a stress. Yep, I'm running a stress on CPU Z to keep the processor at 100% to see how it copes, whether the temperature goes up or whether we see the CPU megahertz drop down. So we're running CPU Z here on the stress test. This starts off with higher performance and then it sort of drops down as the speed of the processor is dropped. This is, it starts at 2.5 gigahertz, and as the temperature increases, the clock speed drops so that it can try and control the heat output, and then your performance drops. So if you're needing to run something like video rendering 100% for a long video, then the performance is going to probably drop over time compared to a system with a fan. But I mean, it's possible that with some airflow this system might perform better, but it's probably best designed for someone who just wants a general PC for general activities and isn't rendering videos, for example. And even when playing games, really, your processor's not necessarily going to be running at 100%. So let's close all of this down and just get it back to a sort of normal temperature. It's going back down quite quickly when it's not doing anything, when there's no load on the processor. And let's see how it performs for a simple game like Quake 3. Now, I've not connected any speakers, so we're not going to get the sound for this, but we'll go for the usual settings that I use. 800 by 600. And we're getting 446 frames per second. So if Quake 3 is the only game you play, then this system is extremely capable. In summary, I think this is just really, really impressive. It's like they've taken the internals of a laptop and made them smaller. How that is really hot. The bottom of this is so very, very hot. So the base is metal, so that's absorbing a heck of a lot of heat. So I can't hold that there without moving away from it. So yeah, ow, this is hot. So yeah, that's a shame that it is so hot. Maybe the bottom being metal, it's doing a better job of absorbing some heat. Yeah, this is such an impressive little package. It's like they've taken kind of the core of a laptop, the processor, memory, drive, put all the ports around it and made one of the smallest PCs I've ever seen. And I think the sort of 8th gen i5 similar performance for this means that it could be used as a, just an everyday office PC. Got plenty of ports, 2 HDMI, also USB-C for another display port, audio out, micro SD, Ethernet, and then you've got the USB ports here. But it's just incredible what they can do with technology these days, and it's really low power. It's using 6.9 watts at the moment. Since this will take a very long time to download, we'll do this in a different video. We'll check out some other gaming, but for now I'm just incredibly impressed by this system. I guess I'm a little bit concerned by how warm it gets, and that is definitely going to depend on how you use a computer and what you use it for. If you're just going on the internet, word processing, YouTube videos, then it shouldn't get too hot. But if you do a lot of sort of CPU intensive things, video rendering for example, then this might not be the best system for you. I mean, with this getting hot, it could be useful to sort of place it on some kind of metal tray that lifts it off and lets a little bit more airflow. But yeah, it's cooled down a bit. I can hold it and it's fine. Yeah, I'll just show you how it compares to a Lenovo ThinkCentre. So this is the ThinkCentre with the CD-ROM drive, and the size difference is just quite staggering. You know, it's almost as small as this. In fact, it might be almost the same size as the optical drive. So that is just insane how small this is. I just can't quite believe it. You know, you could put this in your pocket and take it with you wherever you want to go, and it's not that kind of like those little Intel devices that were terrible. This kind of has enough performance to be a usable system. Yeah, quite impressed. And if there's others out there that you would recommend me having a look at, let me know in the comments. So yeah, I'm quite impressed by this. It really makes you think, you know, if you just need a PC and want a big screen, separate keyboard, mouse, then why not get something really small like this? The memory is built in, so make sure you get the amount of memory you need to begin with, because it can't be upgraded. But yeah, it's cooled down quite a lot and I quite like it. Definitely something to look into. And also gives us an idea what the N150 processor is like, because that's the kind of thing you might see in budget laptops. If you found this interesting and want to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments. And what would you use this little PC for? Is there anything you think I might have missed? Then let me know. Thanks for watching, and thanks for sharing, thanks for subscribing, and a big shout out to all channel members. Bye. This is the box that it comes in. It's just really small, and wow, it's even smaller than I thought. This is the specifications: N150, 16 gig RAM, 512 gig SSD, Intel UHD graphics, Wi-Fi 5, BT 5.1 gigabit Ethernet, 1 USB 2, 2 USB 3, 1 Type-C. So video output is USB-C, 4K 60 Hz. Also got 2 HDMI, 4K 60 Hz, audio, M2 slot, micro SD slot. Here's just another example of the size of this. This is compared to the S24 Ultra. So, I mean, the S24 Ultra is quite a big phone, and this is the PC.